Hello friends, this is Shelley. I just want to thank you so much for clicking on this tutorial. We are going to have fun with this one. I just was like sitting and thinking one day, what would be a fun project? And I thought of the little girl that is in my life, and I thought, oh, she would love to play X's and O's with little octopus. So I don't know, I don't know how my brain works, friends, but this is what I came up with. We're gonna make this X's and O's game, but we use octopus, little baby octopus, instead of the X's or the O's. Now, if you're listening to me and you're saying, what the heck is X's and O's? You just watch it till the end of the video and I teach you how to play. Very simple but fun game. We are going to use our 12 peg loom. You also need to have a loom that has at least 30 pegs on it. Doesn't matter how many more it has, but you need one with at least 30 pegs for the mat. And I used Bernat Premium yarn. These are the colors: baby yellow, robin's egg, soft gray heather, black, and white. So also use safety eyes, and I tell you about that in the video. I'm not sure what size they are. I think they're a 6 or an 8. You just choose what you like. But we're gonna just get going on this fun project. Be sure and show me in whatever Facebook groups you are in. Sadly, I have paused my group for the time being. But if you are in any other groups, please post your work and post my link, but tag me, Shelley Weeb, tag me. And if I'm in the group, I will be able to come and see it. I would love to see your makes. So please hit that like and the subscribe button on my channel. And once you've done those things, let's spend some time together and get working on this project. We are ready to begin. We have our 12 peg loom, our loom pick, and our yarn. So to begin, we're going to put a slip knot onto our yarn at the end there. Pull that a little bit tighter. Pop that onto your anchor peg. We are going to do the drawstring cast on so that we can cinch this once we take it off of the loom. So what we're going to do, peg 1 here, we're going to go behind, then in front of peg 2, behind, in front, all the way around. And I'm just letting this yarn slip through my fingers. I'm not putting any extra tension on it, just letting it do its thing. So this is the last peg. We are in front of that last peg. Now we're going to go behind peg 1, and we're going to then just go in front of all the other pegs, pushing that first row down where you need to, okay? We've got to the last peg right here. I'm just going to slip that in behind and wrap it around peg 2. You can hold it secure however it works best for you, but that's how I do it, okay? Then we're going to work off the last peg, taking the bottom loop over the top. Then we can let go of this. We can release that from there. And we're going to knit off every peg that has 2, which is every second peg, okay? Taking the bottom over the top. Our cast on is complete. For this project, we are going to do the E-wrap. So from there, I'm going to just pull on this a little bit to make it a little bit tighter around that last peg. Then we're going to go in front. I guess that's behind actually, because this is the front of our work where we're actually working. So we're going to go behind and in front, behind and in front, behind and in front in an E-wrap all the way around. Okay, so take your yarn and go all the way around. When I get to my last peg, I'm going to then continue behind peg 1 and over the front of peg 2, just so that I can hold it secure. You can hold it secure however works best for you, but we will release that in a second. But we're just going to work off that last peg, and then you'll see it holds our yarn secure. It's not going to go anywhere, okay? So now we're going to continue around the loom, taking the bottom row over the top and knitting off. Row 1 complete. We're going to push down those stitches just halfway. You just need them down a little bit so you can do your next row. And we're going to continue that process. We're going to E-wrap peg 1, E-wrap peg 2, and all the way around, going behind and in front, all the way around. I've got my yarn coming out of my ball with nice loose tension. I'm going to go hold that secure. We're going to knit off the last peg and around. Now, if you like to go this other direction, once you knit off that last peg to hold your yarn tail secure, you can go this way if you like. Whichever direction you want to go is your personal preference, and you can go ahead and do that, no problem. So row 2 is almost complete. This is what we're going to do for this whole project, for the octopus anyways. We're going to E-wrap, not for the other part, but we're going to E-wrap And we're going to knit off. E-wrap and knit off. This is row 3. Oops. I like to go this way. And we're going to do that for 14 rows. So it won't take you very long, will it? Like, this is already row 3 and I've been slowing it down a little bit and chatting with you. You'll get this done in no time. So you can see that all these little octopus there are going to come together quite quickly. You're going to go ahead on row 3 or 4, release your anchor peg, and then you can take it in through the bottom here and get it right out of your way. I just pull it through with my loom hook, and we're ready to continue on to row 4, and then do row 4, 5, all the way to row 14, complete row 14, and when you get to row 14, I will see you right back. I'm coming up on the end of row 14. I feel like I was hardly off camera. It didn't take long at all. Okay, I'm going to push those down just a little bit, and then I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to cut off a tail. Cut off about a foot, because you're going to use it for sewing later too. And we're going to take our needle, we're going to put our end onto that needle, and we're going to cast off. So you're going to bring that yarn tail between the first and the last peg, and you're going to go underneath the loop of the first peg. Pick up that stitch underneath the second one and pick it up. We're going to do this all the way around our loom. But when I get 6 or 7 pegs worked, then I will remove to make some slack, which I will do right after this one. There we go. Here's my first peg. I'm going to leave that one on because I always go back and I join my last one to my first one when I'm done. So I'm going to take the second one off, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. That just gives me a little bit more slack as I'm taking these off. I'm going to continue around. And we're going to remove these. You can also use your loom pick and do it this way. If you put it underneath that bar, you can take your pick and put it under that first loop, scoop that up and pull it through. Go to the next one, go through that loop, scoop it up and pull it through. I find using the needle to be a lot faster and I like it better. But this is a way, because sometimes it'll snag your yarn like that as you're trying to pick it up. So I do prefer the other way. But those are just 2 options for you. We're going to go ahead and remove this from our loom. And there we go. We've got our piece. We're going to stretch this. Set it aside. This is the head of our octopus. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a smaller one for the base. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a drawstring cast on. Then we're going to E-wrap for 10 rows, then cast off just like what we just did. So this first piece is 14 rows. Do the exact same thing for the second piece, but only do 10 rows. And when you have that complete, come back and we will move on to the next part of the project. We're going to take the bigger piece first. And we're going to, let me just get these out of the way. We're going to take one end and cinch it. Pop that tail onto your needle. These are, everybody always comments under my videos and asks me what needles these are. These are metal wool needles. I get them from Amazon or Walmart, and they're just wonderful. They come in a set of 3, and this is the smallest one, which I use the most. Then there's graduating sizes. Eventually, this little plastic thing pulls out of the end, but they're not expensive, so it's still very much worth the money that you spend on them. We're going to go around, and we're going to pick up the top row of stitches just to reinforce this, just one time. Just like that. Tie it off in a knot. Pull that knot down with your thumb. Then we're going to stick our fingers in there. Oh, I get this brace off in a week and a half. I can't wait. Then you won't have to look at it in the pictures. We're going to take our needle, go through the center, making sure that we catch it with our fingers on the inside so we don't snag our work. Going to bring that tail on through. Then you're going to put this in half. This is the other end. See, we're just making like a little beanie kind of thing. We're going to then take this side. I'm going to cut this one off because this one we only need a little. We don't need that whole long tail to work with. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put that on our needle. And we're going to reinforce around the top row of stitches on this side as well. Pulling this other tail out of the way as you do so. And from there, we're going to tie these two into a firm knot, bringing the inside layer up to the top layer really snugly. So when you pull on that, this inside layer, it's like a little flat disc, but it's not going to be flat. It's going to be round. So we're going to tie that off in a real good knot. Then you can just cut this shorter one. Cut it shorter than what the length of this head's going to be. Then all I do is I take this piece and I work it up the side, in between the layers, but up the side till I get to the very top edge, just like that. And I make sure it's not pulling, and then I just put a little knot in there to secure it so that when I pull on it, it's not going to gather in there. Then I flip that into the inside. And my tail is hid. So from there, we are going to grab our little eyes. Now, I order these on Amazon, and they come in these packages like this. Sorry, I cannot tell you what size they are offhand. I would guess they are an 8 or a 9 maybe. But you choose the size. Maybe they're even just a 6. I really don't know what they were. I've had them for a while now, and there's no size on the package. But you use whatever size you think looks best with your little project. And I'm going to take 2 of these little backs. I'm actually going to take Elmer's school glue. You can use hot glue gun if you like as well, but for this purpose of this one little project, I'm just going to use the glue because it dries just as nicely, in my personal opinion. You're going to then find a section here. Now, between the last peg and the first peg, there's always a bit of a wider gap, and that's right there. So I'm going to just turn it around so that I have 2 nice rows that are right beside each other. But or 4 actually, but I'm going to count from this bottom stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to pop 1 eye into there, into the middle of that stitch, come to the inside, let it come through. I literally am going to just put a little bit of glue just on the tip of this little plastic piece. How come it's not opening? Oh, because it's, there we go. Just on the tip of this little plastic piece. Not much, just a very, very little bit. And then when I push this on, it will take it down through the stem of that black piece, and it will hold it in place. Push it down, and there we go. And when it dries clear, and it'll hold it great, and you don't have to worry about little people choking, okay? Because it won't come off. Now I'm going to skip this row, and go over to this next row, and we're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 2 full rows in between my eyes, and I'm up in the 4th stitch from the brim, or from the edge. Okay. Again, I'm going to put just a slight little bit of glue, not much, just like a little bit. And take this. You can use hot glue if you prefer, friends. You just use whatever you like. But sometimes, like a lot of people that watch don't have hot glue guns, so I just want to give them the option to know that this will work. I'm going to close that up. Put it aside. It's already cute. You're going to grab your stuffing. And we're going to stuff it. Oh, what we're going to do first, sorry, is we're going to take this end. So I apologize. We're going to take this end. It's coming out of the edge here. We're going to go underneath that very next row and over a row. Under a row, over, and we're going right on the very edge here. Over a row, under a row. Just like so. Under and over. Until we get to the beginning, and then I go back under that same one that I started on. Now we can stuff this little guy because we have a cord to pull so that we can close it as we go. I'm going to pop that into there, and I'm going to just tighten this a little bit. Now the trick to this is you don't want to fill it too full. You don't need a lot of stuffing for this little guy. You just want to make his face look round, his head look round. That's way too much, I can tell that, if I use that whole piece that I brought out. I'm going to stuff that in. and pull this closed. I think that looks great. Okay, so do not overstuff. Then you're going to take your needle and you're going to go around this base, the top row of stitches there. That's the problem with these, is that if you're not holding it securely or have a long enough tail, they'll sometimes come out, but it's a small problem to have. I love these needles. And I'm just going around to secure. And from there, I'm going to knot it off. Just have to do it once because we're going to be making another knot at some point. Pull that down with your thumb. Then I go in the side and up the very center. And I bring that up the very center because it helps me to center the next part of the project. Grabbing our other piece, we are going to do the same thing, except for we're going to stop it. We're not going to do the full process. We're going to stop and make this a flat little circle. So we're going to go around. We're going to secure that top, just like we did the first piece. Tighten that with your thumb there. Put that in through the center. Bring it out to the other side. Then we're going to tighten this other side here. As we do so, we can flatten this a little bit so that both edges are together, both ends are together. I'm going to cut this off to make it a little bit easier to work with. Pull on that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to reinforce the top, getting this other tail out of the way. And when we've done that, we're going to take both. Once again, we are going to tie a firm knot. So far we've done this already on the other piece. Tie a firm knot. Then you're going to take this shorter one that you've got, and we're actually going to hide this end. So we're going to go into our work, into the center of the two halves, and then cut it off. From there, we stretch it out. And rather than make it into a little, what's going to be a circle there, we keep this one flat. Okay, so that's nice and flat just like that, but it's a circle and we want it to look more like it has 4 little legs. I know a big octopus has 8, but this is a baby octopus. He's going to only have 4. So we're going to take our yarn tail, we're going to put it in between 2 rows. Bring it around, go back into that center and come out the front. As much into the center as you can get it. All right, so before I pull on this, I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do. So it's between this row, we're going to go 1, 2, and then put it in the third one. So we're going to pull on this. We're going to miss this row. In between those 2 rows, we're going to miss this one, and we're going to go into that next one. We're going to bring it around, and we're going to do the same thing. Bring it through the center. Make sure that you straighten out your sides before you pull this. And there we go. Now we've got this one little foot. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do that again. In through the center, trying to line it up at the center front if you can. And then we're going to do that one more time. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. This moved over 1 row, so I'm going to just release that and bring it over to here before I pull it. And then I'm going to count again, 1, 2, and go in between 3 right there. And I'm going to pull that. So now we've got what looks like a square, but it's really like 4 different pieces. Now I'm going to just tie this off in a knot. It's 1 piece, but it's got 4 sections to it. I just think it looks nicer that way. We're going to take it and we're going to grab our little guy here. We're going to, once this is in the middle of this piece, we're going to grab it in the middle here. and we're going to pull up. And then we've got that centered on our head. And from there, we are going to seam the bottom piece to the top piece. So I'm going to start in the back because then I'll end in the back, and that's where we'll tie our knot. But one little attention to detail is that I like to have the point of one of these little legs in the middle between the two eyes. Rather than have it straight like that, you can see the difference, right? It looks much nicer to have it that way. So make sure your point is centered in between these two rows here that are between the eyes. And then we'll go back to the back. We're going to pick up part of the head, come down, and just pick up close to the head a piece of the legs. And we're going to go around and do the same thing, picking up a piece and going down to the bottom and picking up a strand. We're going to work our way around, doing the same thing. And if you happen to run out of yarn on one tail, then you can switch to the other tail and then meet up wherever those two tails can meet up. Okay, and we're going to just continue around like that. So fun to make. I sat and I watched some of my favorite shows while I made these last night, and I made the majority of them how come I can't say that word? The majority of them last night, but I started the project the evening before, but I never picked it up at all during the day. It was strictly an evening project for me. So that just tells you it doesn't take that long to do. And it's so cute. Kids will play with these without them being part of the game. But I just thought, how cute would that be to make an X's and O's game, but using Octopus. There we go. You can make a bunch of these and make a baby mobile. Wouldn't that be cute for their crib? You can look at it, watch them twirl around and above them while they're laying in their little crib. That'd be cute. I'm going to do one more over here just to join them. Then I'm going to take these two, tie a knot, and now I'm going to tighten it just a little bit because it'll pull that neck in just a little bit more to these, to this base, and it just, that little attention to detail shapes it a little bit better and looks much nicer. So I'm going to then cut this off, put my tails back onto my needle, and we're going to go up into the work, pull it up, cut it off. If you think he's cute now, wait till he gets his little mouth. Grab yourself some black yarn, just maybe a foot, not even, 10 inches, 8 inches, and we're going to add the little mouth. Once we are ready with that, we're going to come up into the side of the head here, and between our two eyes, we've got these two rows right here. We're going to take the stitch that's right beside the eye on both. So these are the two stitches we're going to be working in. We're going to come up underneath the stuffing, through that stitch, pull this through so I have a long enough tail to hide later. I'm going to come down between these two rows and then up into that stitch that's completely in line, then back down into that nose point and out where I went in. That's it, my friends, that's it. Then you're going to cut this off, you're going to tie a knot. Now you could do this whole project in U-wraps or flat stitch, whatever you like. You'd have to add more rows, of course, but I just love the loopy look of the E-wrap. You know, I just think it's a nice, for me, I like the look of it. I think it just looks more squishy, not so flat. Then I'm going to pull this up like that. And there you go. There you go. You're going to make 5 of each of these. So this head's a little bit bigger than this one, but that's okay. They're all unique. We're going to make 5 yellow. I got one more to make. And we're going to make 5 green. And when you have that done, we're going to then start on our other piece, the blanket part for this. And you're going to need a loom that has at least 30 pegs on it. If it's bigger than that, that's fine, but if it has to have at least 30 pegs on it, and then we'll work on the game board, okay? Okay, we've got our loom that has at least 30 pegs on it. We're going to take a double strand of white yarn, and we're going to put a slip knot onto the anchor peg. And we're going to do our cast on. We're going to do an E-wrap cast on for this project. We're going to go between that. This is the last peg, but we're just ignore those. We're not going to do them all. This is the first peg that's to the right of the anchor peg. We're going to go in front and wrap around. In front and wrap around, just like this, all the way around the loom, counting 30 pegs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm coming up on peg 30, that's 29 and 30. We're going to then push these down. We're going to come around peg 30 again, just like that, and knit off. I'm going to push that little knot close to that. I'm pushing this knot here close to the peg. Then I'm going to go the opposite direction and E-wrap. So I'm going to go behind and in front, behind and in front, behind and in front, behind and in front. And keep E-wrapping just like this all the way to the end till you get to peg 1. And just hold that with your finger if you've got to stop and push these down. Generally, I'll push these down before I get the row going, but I didn't do that this time. Might be smart for you to do that, because then you don't let go. They don't let go on you like this one is going to. And you're going to keep wrapping all the way back to peg 1. Also doesn't help that I'm holding it at a funny angle. Bear with me, we're getting through the project here. We're getting through it. And we're going to keep wrapping till we get to peg 1. I'm going to hold that with my fingers just so you can see what we've got here. We've got this first row that we went around, then we're coming back, E-wrapping going the other direction. This is for our cast on. Our project is not going to be an E-wrapped project, it's going to be U-wrapped, but we want an E-wrap cast on. Keep going till you get to peg 1 and I'll meet you back. I'm at peg 1 and I'm going to E-wrap it. Then I'm going to work this one off so that I can let go of my yarn tail. There we go, and I can let go of that because it's secure. And then we're going to go and we're going to take the bottom loop over the top loop on every peg, knitting it off. And this will be our cast on row. Keep going all the way to the 30th peg, knit them all off, and then we will begin our project. Well, this is the project, but this is the cast on row. All right, friends, I've got them all done, and I've pushed down my work so that I have room at the top of those pegs for the next part. Now, this is the body of our project. We're going to do it all in U-wrap. So I'm going to take that yarn tail and I'm going to go to the left and around the front of peg 1, hold it with my fingers, knit off, U-wrap peg 2, knit off, peg 3, and I'm going to do this all the way down the row. In fact, this is what we're going to do for the entire project. So I'm going to keep going, U-wrapping, knitting off, U-wrapping, knitting off, till I get to peg 30. I will show you how we turn our row, and then I will explain what we're going to do from there and set you free. Coming up to the end, this is peg 29 and 30. Now to turn our row, we are going to go back and knit peg 30, which now becomes peg 1. So after you've knit 29, then 30, you're gonna go and change this to peg 1, and you're gonna come back around and U-wrap it. Don't go straight to peg 29. And then we're gonna do this, 29, 28, we're gonna go all the way to the end. I'll do one more turn with you, and then I will give you some instructions, and let you go at her. Coming up on the end of row 2. And we're going to knit that off. You can actually release your anchor peg either on this row or on row 4, whichever you like. Row 3, whichever you like, but from this point on, you're able to release that anchor peg and put that down into the bottom. Okay, now we're going to begin row 3. Taking our working yarn, we're going to always wrap peg 4. So or peg 1. We just finished this one. It was peg 30 coming back this way. Now it becomes peg 1. We're going to go back and we're going to U-wrap it. And we're going to continue on down the row, knitting in the same way for 22 rows. All right, so this is row 3. You're going to go back and forth until you have knit 22 rows of your white. Then you're going to see me back and we're going to change colors. All right, friends, so keep going, have fun, enjoy the process, and we'll see you at row 22. I have completed my 22 rows and my little guy. So I'm done all of my little guys, and now I have cut a tail. I'm going to pop that into the center of my loom between the first peg and this last peg that's not worked. We're going to take our second color. I'm going to put a slip knot. 2 strands of gray is what I'm choosing, and I'm going to pop that right onto peg 1. Then I'm going to take this tail and I'm going to put it in the center. I'm going to work off that stitch. I'm going to pull that tail of the white. I'm going to tie those 2 together in just a moment, but I'm going to do a few more pegs first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to U-wrap the second peg with that second color. Work it off, and I'm going to work down the row. And we are going to do 22 rows of the second color. Before I get any further, I'm going to just set that aside. I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to just give it a firm knot. And one more. Then I'm going to cut them off. I want to hide the tail, so I want to leave enough room, but I'm just going to cut them off even there so that they're not bugging me. I'm going to pop them under there with those other ones. And we're going to continue the same way we did the first 22 rows. We're going to do the next 22 rows. So simple. And once those 22 rows are done, I'm going to grab my white yarn again, and I'm going to end off with that. So I just want my gray to be in the middle, just to give it, the board a little bit of color. But we're going to then, after we do 20 rows of this gray, we're going to make a slip knot with our white, put it back onto our white peg, and we're going to do not 20 rows, 22 rows. And then we're going to do the last 22 rows. So I attached my gray. I'm going to work 22 rows of this color. Then I'm going to attach my white in the same way that we did the gray. And I'm going to do my last 22 rows of white. That should take us to row 66. Okay, friends? So that's fairly self-explanatory to do because we've done so many rows already. So I want you to continue going until you have completed 22 rows of this gray, taking you to row 44. Then switch back to white and do another 22 rows, taking your project to 66 rows in total. And when you get there, I'll meet you back and we'll bind off together. I have completed my last set of 22. It's so exciting. Now we're going to do an E-wrap to get us prepared for our bind off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around that first peg. So I'm going to go in front and then off to the left side and around in between the first and the second, and I'm going to E-wrap all the way around. I'm going to use my crochet hook to bind this off. Very, very easy. You don't have to know how to crochet, my friends. So if that all of a sudden made you nervous and you say, I don't crochet, I'm not doing it. You're using the crochet hook, but it's not something that you can't do. So I'm going to go ahead, but you know what? At the same time, you bind off however you want to bind off. Okay, yarn, stop getting caught between those pegs. So I'm going to E-wrap all the way around, and then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to start at the other end, and I'm going to knit off. And when I have that done, I will come back and we will finish our project. All right, I'm going to take my 4mm crochet hook, and I'm going to, you can take one that's a little bit smaller if you like to, or even a 4.5, doesn't matter, one that you can easily get under there. I'm going to go under that first loop. It's actually the last loop in the round that I worked. And then we're going to yarn over and bring it through that loop. I'm going to take that loop off, and I'm going to go into that next stitch, just like this, and I'm going to bring it through the loop that's on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over and bring that through my loop, and I'm going to go into that next one. This is going to give me a nice loose edge. And I'm going to go into this one, a little hard to get at. You can go up or down, it doesn't matter, from the stitch. And then I'm going to pull it through that loop that's on my hook. I'm going to pass the yarn over the hook and through that loop. Then I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to go into that loop, sorry, this is a little bit awkward. I still don't have full motion here. I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to go into that loop. I'm going to work it. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull it through. We're getting a really nice edge there. It's going to be beautiful on our project. I'm going to go into this next one. If you have to use your loom pick to pick it off and get under there, then you just do that. Pull it through the loop on my hook, yarn over, pull that through. And we're going to repeat that all the way down, making sure that you're not pulling too tight as you're doing it. You're just getting a nice loose stitch. So you can even take it off like that, pull it through the loop on your hook, yarn over, pull it through the loop on your hook. The more slack you get here, the easier it is to get underneath these stitches too, friends. No worries, you got this. Gonna get underneath that stitch. Sometimes, because it's a double strand, you might have to use your loom pick to help you get under there. Easily done. Take it off, put it through the loop on your hook, yarn over, pull it through. Look at that. It's just getting such a beautiful, beautiful bind off. It's going to be nicer than the bind off at the beginning. We're going to do that all the way down. So I'm going to pull this down. I'll do one more with you. Now I got to figure out a way to make my table not so noisy. I got a brand new table. I'm so excited about it. And I'm going to get under that stitch, take it off, pull it through the loop on my hook, yarn over, and pull that through. Friends, do that all the way across the row, and when you get to the end, I'll meet back with you. Coming up on the last one here. Didn't take too long. You get in the groove as you go. Pull that through, yarn over, pull it through, then you can cut off a bit of a tail here and pull that through. Remove your loom, and you've got a very, very nice edge. Isn't that beautiful? We're going to go down to the other end, and we're going to block this so that it's nice and straight, and I'll show you how to do that very simply. Okay, and we know that our yarn tail is coming out here, so I'm going to go over to this side and I'm going to roll it up, and you see these big loops that go over the very top. We're just going to take the second one and we're going to pull it. We're going to take the third one and we're going to pull on it. I'm moving it towards, as I pull it up, I'm moving it actually towards the right, towards the tail, and then it helps to tighten it. So that's the direction I'm pulling in. And we're just going to tighten up that seam so we have a nice edge. We don't want it all loopy and big. We want a nice finished edge. So I'm just going to go along the top. Sometimes you miss one here. It's hard to see it, or it's a little tight. There we go. So roll it up, grab that very top loop, and gently pull. Don't get away on yourself here and go really fast, because sometimes when you're pulling on it, this one here gets tight and you miss it, and then you end up with a knotted mess. So if you go at a nice pace and you make sure you don't miss one of those loops, you can tighten that up and get a really nice tension on the end. And see, this loop is getting bigger as we're tightening it up. And there you go. I'm going to continue that all the way down to the end. I'm coming up near the edge, and I'm going to slowly pull this. And there it is. Pinching with my thumb and my finger the end there so I don't have a struggle. Okay, do I have one more? I'll be honest, I always find this very end one to be the hardest one to do, because it gets really tiny in there as you continue on down the line. Well, that's not the right one, so which one is it? But I stay on with you just because. There we go. I'm pulling it from the back there, and then pull this. And I just went outside of that loop. I'm going to pull that back in. So yeah, oops. Pull that back through that loop so that I don't lose my row. And there we go. I have a beautiful, beautiful edge there, and I have a beautiful edge here. Now all we got to do is make the magic happen. I already stretched it a bit in here, but you can see in here this isn't stretched yet. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your piece and you're going to just stretch it all along widthwise. Let me get my coffee out of the way. I do not want to spill that on this piece. Widthwise, nice thick piece, and then we're going to do it lengthwise. Get all those beautiful rows in place. We are going to block this, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to do it. I have a little exercise mat, literally a rubber exercise mat. I'll take a picture once I get it on there. Exercise mat that I bought for $5 from the Dollarama. And I'm going to go and pin these edges. I'm going to stretch it like this and pin these edges all the way up. Flatten them out and put a pin into there all the way up and then across into the shape I want it to be. And then I'm going to spray it really good with a spray bottle. And then I use my hand and I circulate that. I just smooth out that moisture all over the top. And I let it dry. And then when it dries, it's going to hold its shape. Okay, so go ahead, do that again. I'll show you a picture of it in just a second. I just wanted to explain it. And then we'll move on to the next part of this project once it's dry. So there you go. Some of you might be thinking, oh, Shelley, you're using just a simple little mat, but yes, that's all I'm using. You can go on Amazon or different places and buy yourself a really expensive blocking mat if you like, but I don't do it enough to warrant that. So I just buy this cheap little exercise mat that cost me $5 and I can roll it to a longer length if I need it. And I just pin it down. Works perfect. Grabbed my little spray bottle of water, sprayed it nice and so it's quite wet. I'm going to let this little piece dry, and when it is, I will see you back. Magic of camera, it'll just be another second. Okay, I have the piece all ready. It's beautiful, it's dried. And you know what, the base here was still just a little bit curly. So what I did is I put it upside down like this. I put a kitchen tea towel over top of it. And then I took my hot steam iron and I steamed it. And you can do that and not do the other step as well. It just will take a little bit longer. I like to put the two together if I have to. And that just made it beautiful. It's just perfect. And then what I did is because we had 30 rows here. We have 30 rows. This is 1, I count where the wide part of the V goes up. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way across is 30. I already went and measured this out to save time on the camera, but this is row 10. Okay, from this end to here, this is row 10. So then I counted 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I put a bobby pin there. I followed it up and I put one on each side here too, stitch markers there, just so that I can make sure I'm staying on the same row. We're going to take a double strand of gray yarn. We're going to use gray where it's white, and we're going to use white where it's gray. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on its side right here. I know that this is my row. I'm going to just take this up from behind, just like that, on that row. And you see, this is for the next stitch. This is the next one. All these little bars represent the stitch that it's in, okay? So I'm going to miss this first bar and the second bar and the third bar and then go in. I'm going to come up with just 1 bar on my needle. So in that very next stitch, let's do that again. I'm going to pull that. I'm going to go over 3 stitches. So here's 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to go into that stitch and pick up that next bar from that very next stitch, pull it through. And take your time and get this nice and straight. And that's how we're making our line, okay? So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. And pick up a bar. Let's get, you know what, let's tuck that little guy underneath there now. And 1, 2, 3. Go into that next one and pick it up. And you see how we're making a beautiful line. 1, 2, 3, pick up the 4th one. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that very next stitch, and I'm going to come under on the other side. And let's just flip this again, because where this bobby pin is here, I'm going to just push that through just a little bit so that I can see where my row is. It's right there. I'm going to just trail this. Sorry, I'm flipping this around because I got to get the right angle. I'm going to trail this just underneath the stitches. You don't even have to do every stitch. If you want to really hide it so it's not showing, do every stitch. And that's what I'm going to actually do. I want it to be really neat. I'm just going to pick up the bar that's on the other side, which is the bar that we're going under. And I'm just going to pick that up, pull that through. I'm going to put this little guy back on my needle. Let's try that again. Get in there. And we're going to continue on our merry way up that row. Just like so. Smooth it out. I'm going to just stick with you for this one because once I show you this one, you'll be able to do them all. And we're going to come up where that stitch marker is. I can push that back down because I'm in the right place. I'm going to come through onto that other side. See, right where that stitch marker is, we've trailed it up. We can now actually remove this one too because we can easily see that line. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and in. Pick up that 4th one. You know what? Let me tell you something. When you have one shorter than the other and you pull, it doesn't, that's how come it falls out of my needle, because I think I'm at the end of the strand and I'm not. There's still, when I pull it, this shorter one comes out and the other one stays in. So that's why I'm fighting with it. So make your strands even and you'll avoid a fight. 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one I pick up. See? And 1, 2, 3, 4th one I pick up. And this is nice and smooth, and I just always take it after each one and smooth it out, make sure. So 1, one is the one, okay, so this is coming out of this loop. You've probably figured this out already, but that very next one that's right close is what we're counting. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, I'd very much suggest for this project that you actually do steam it with your iron because it's nice and flat and it's perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to pick that last one up and then I'm going to go down into the back side just like that. We've got one row done. Go ahead, do your gray one on that side, and then we will fix these, okay? But go ahead, attach another double strand of gray and do this other line, and I'll see you back. Doesn't that look beautiful? We're going to now take these 2 strands and we're going to hide them before we attach our white. We're going to finish our vertical lines first, and then we will worry about the horizontal ones. I'm going to put that on that needle. I'm going to go to the back here. I'm going to just make a little knot. Pull that tight. I'm only going to do one because we're putting a fringe on here, so it's going to hold it in place without having to do 2. I'm going to just pick a couple strands and cut this off. I'm going to do that for all 4 pieces, and then I will meet you back. How pretty. When that's done, we're going to change our color to white. We're going to come up in that same row, but from behind. Making sure you push enough through, but not too much. There we go. And we're going to follow that same row. And we see it right here. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and pick up. 1, 2, 3, pick up. 1, 2, 3, pick up. Pull that through. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, pick up. 1, 2, 3, pick up. And then I'm just going to go down where that purple one is. Or purple. Oh my goodness, I need coffee. Where that gray one is. Okay, and that's how that's going to look. We're going to do the same thing for this side. Once we have that done, we're going to take these 2 little cuties, put them on our needle, and again, we're going to hide. You don't want a really big knot because you want this to lay as flat as possible. So I'm just going to do 1 just to secure, and then I'm going to trail it into my work. Where am I going to trail it? Right here. Pick up one of the double strands that are there, pull that through, smooth it out, cut it off, do that on this side, and then finish that other one, and then meet me here. Isn't that beautiful? And you know what? It's just as nice on the other side. We've done attention to detail and made sure that all of our little tails were only knotted once and then hid real good so that they stay in place and we still have a flat bottom. Just loving it. But I am one that's very, very particular, as you know, if you follow my channel at all. And I like to pay attention to detail. And I know that we've got this natural line going here with our break, and I planned that specifically, but I also think we need to add another line like this. So we're going to take the gray. We're going to come up on the side here, pull it through, double stranded. I'm going to hide that so it's not in my way. Now we've got our rows just like this. Instead of going in the middle of the stitches, we have our rows. So I'm just going to start it off, there's just this half a line here. I'm going to go underneath this one stitch just like that. I was second guessing myself there, but no, that's what I want to do. And then from there, I'm going to go over 2 rows. So 1, 2, and then under 1. Both bars of 1 stitch. One, 2, and under. 1, 2, and under. And pull. That's going to make our squares distinct, okay? So 1, 2, and under. So essentially going over 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 2 stitches, and under 2 bars, which is 1 stitch. We're going to do that all the way across, smoothing this out as we go so that both strands are the same. And we're going to 1, 2, and under, 1, 2, and under. And then we're going to tie off, hide our ends, and do the same on the other end right up here, okay? You see how much different that looks? 1, 2, and under, 1, 2, and under, 1, 2, and I'm just going to grab that very end stitch. Lovely. Cut this off. Again, hide your tails, do the second one, and then meet me back. Another little attention to detail is if you picked up the stitch the right way, you will see that all these V's are in the same way. The wide part of the V is up at the top. And same here. There it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. If you would have picked up in between, you would have had some that were opposite. So attention to detail, friends. It's so important. Let's flip this over, hide our ends, and then we will do the next part. Once we have all that done and we've gone up and got ourselves something to drink and a delicious homemade cookie or a cookie even from the store. I love store-bought cookies. We're going to make the fringe. I'm using the cardboard that I use for my small yip-yips. Check out my channel and look at those small yip-yips. They're absolutely adorable. I make them with my circular knitting machine. If you haven't got a circular knitting machine, friends, check out my channel. Maybe you're going to want to get yourself one. And this is 9 inches. 4.5 from here to here, but when you go around, it's 9. So all I do is I take this and I wrap it around. I'm going to just do a few, just so you can see what I'm going to do here. That's enough for now. And then I'm going to just cut this tail. I'm going to cut this in one place. Doesn't matter if I cut there or down there. You just want one place, one cut. Then when you remove this, let's get this out of the way. You've got a beautiful 9-inch fringe that becomes 4.5 inches when you put it in half. I forgot my crochet hook. I'll be right back. You're going to put this fringe in half. You're going to come down to the bottom here and you're going to pick up just underneath the loop of that stitch. From the wrong side going up to the right side. Then you're going to grab that loop. You're going to pull it through. You can put your fingers through there and then pull it. Now the reason why you go from the underside up is because you want this little bar of this fringe to be at the top. It does look different at the back. That's the wrong side. Let's do another one. I'm going to make white ones and alternate white and gray, so I'm going to leave a little space. So if I'm going to put my white one there, I'm going to put my gray one here. I'm going to go up into that little loop of that stitch. Pick up the loop that I have. Bring it through. You can just leave it on your crochet hook too if you want. Wrap that around and then pull it through the loop, just like that, and then pull. Or take it off and use your fingers like what I did. Again, I'm going to put a white one in between. Let's do one more together. Take your 9-inch fringe, fold it in half. It now becomes 4.5 inches. I'm going to skip this one for the white. I'm going to go into this one from the wrong side to the right side. Grab that loop, pull it through. If I take it off the hook, it's easier for you to see, I think, what I'm doing. I'm going to grab that loop. I'm going to put my fingers through it, grab these 2 pieces, and pull them through. That's my fringe. I'm going to put a white one in between, and I'm going to alternate all the way across on both sides. Go ahead and do that. You guys, I couldn't be happier than with the way this turned out. I'm just loving it. I love this fringe. If you want a shorter one, make a shorter one. But I love it. You know what? This would make a beautiful placemat, wouldn't it? Make a few of them. Make a placemat. But then, you know, they can play X's and O's. Be green, and then the next person puts their yellow one on. And you try to get yourself a square. I mean, a straight line. X's and O's. If you don't know the game, got a straight line. If you don't know the game, you can Google it. But basically what you got to do is you take turns playing and you place your little man down anywhere. Next guy puts his down and you try to get a line. Straight line, horizontally or vertically or diagonal. This would be a straight line. So let's just play. I'm going to teach you because some people might not know this game if you're in a different country and you don't have it. So first person plays anywhere. Let's go there. Then the next person plays. Let's go there. My turn. Go there. Your turn. Let's go there. My turn. I'm going to go there because I can see that I might get a 3 there, but it's my turn, so I'm going to go there. And I got a 3, or your turn, whose ever turn the green was. And that's a straight line. So that's how you play. Kids are going to love this. And they can play with these little octopus when they're not playing the game too. They could just have fun with it. So you line them all up. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. And you just play. All right, friends. So there you go. I just love this. I think it turned out so cute. Oops. Green's turn. There we go. Got a line. I'm going to play against myself and have a good time. But there you go, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Let me just lay these down so you can this way so you can see them. Oh, they're so adorable. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. It means a lot that you spent time with me. I hope that you can show your work in one of the groups that you might be in. Sadly, I have paused my Facebook group, but I'm in a number of different groups, so please post it and tag me, Shelley Weeb, and I will be able to see it if I'm in the group. So friends, thank you again for joining me. I sure appreciate you, and I look forward to spending time with you in the next video. Take care. Have a blessed day.